to Glenlarden. Just too sure that's how you say it. So I've been doing a bunch of fertilizing contracts through the second half of May 2nd, all of the seconds. And we're just going to claim those. Basically, it was a bit of fun chilling out, doing some contracts. So we have got about £47,000 worth of contracts done. Done some previous day as well, so I can't really show it. It doesn't really show how much we spent on FERT, but it was a reasonable amount. Not silly, but you know, we've made a decent profit at least, and we're up over £200,000 now, which technically is enough to pay the outstanding mortgage balance off. But I'm not going to do that yet. I want to repair all the vehicles, and I want to have a bit of a buffer before I do that. So we're not going to do that just yet, but maybe at some point. Not in this video though, but soon. And then we can work on expanding to new fields, which will be cool. So I'm just trying to look something up on my phone that I would like to chat about. So there he is. So a week and a bit ago had the issue with the guy stealing one of my A3Ds, and a whole bunch of other stuff in his mods, and his mods pretty much seem to have vanished. So all of the pages are still up on King Mods, but all the links are dead, and I believe some Discords have removed the pinned links. Not every Discord has that I've seen, but they go to dead download links anyway, so that's kind of cool. But Paul pointed out, the alien Paul, if you know, kind of generally I'm talking about when I say Paul, that a guy called Bronk-Ema had a Haylage mod, and basically what he's done is he's ripped a whole load of scripts out of Maze Plus and released them as his own work via itch and Patreon. A bunch of us reported it to itch, and it is now gone. Some of you were spamming his Facebook page as well, just to annoy him, which good work, team. Annoyingly, he still has an edits of Enhanced Animal System on itch, so if you want to go and report that, details are on Discord of how to do that. It's kind of, if it wasn't slightly funny, it would be really frustrating. It is really frustrating. On his Facebook page, he was slagging Maze Plus off, calling it Maze Minus. The guy's a comic genius. Whilst literally copying huge chunks of the code from Maze Plus to release as his own mod. So yeah, so frustrating that there are so many of these people about. But yeah, I guess, you know, they want to get rich and famous, and how better to do that than to piggyback on someone else's work and then slag off that work publicly, because you know you wouldn't want to associate with the fact that the thing you've stolen from is actually pretty good. So yeah, if you spot any other ones like that, let us know. And you know, it's kind of my pet peeve equally. If you're sharing links on Discord, make sure they're not links to dodgy places. They'll get removed if they are anyway. I'm pretty strict about that kind of thing. And don't ask people to edit mods for you and then give them to you, because unless they are the mod creator or get permission from the mod creator, they shouldn't be doing that. So you know, again, you'll get pulled up on it, because I hate that. So yeah, let's get back to playing the game, shall we say. You can see I've spent, with repairing and washing and stuff, we would be very short of cash if we had indeed repaid the loan. But we do have a decent amount of milk, so we're going to do our first run selling milk on this map. So getting properly into dealing with cows. We are also going to need to feed them, because there is not enough food left in the buffer to get them certainly through the next game day. I'm not sure if it will even get them through the night, so we're going to do a mix this afternoon. First TMR mix on here. It's actually been a while since I've mixed TMR, so I did make one slight mistake, and I hadn't added in the customized version of Animal Food Editions I was running on Maypole, so it didn't have the TMR recipe that I was using on there. Did that between this mix and the next one. Yeah, so things don't go completely to plan, but hey, yeah, so we've got a decent amount of milk. I am pretty pleased with how things are going. I think we've got calves due soon as well, so that's cool. And most of the crops are pretty much good to go. There's a bit of fertilizing that we need to do. Other than that, we're pretty good. So yeah, things are looking good here. I was going to say on Maypole, but we're not on Maypole anymore. So up at the supermarket where we're going to sell the milk, they clearly have some very thirsty customers that they're going to buy 12,000 litres of milk off of us. We'll see what sort of price they're going to give us, because I can't remember. So interestingly, maybe not interestingly for you, I found there is I might have spoken about them, I can't remember. I found there's a local farm here that's on the way back from where we buy dog food from, and we have to buy dog food. We've got 8 grand ish. We have to buy dog food every couple of weeks, so it's not something we have all the time. So we are up at the grain mill now, and we're going to pick up some Brewer's grain. So I've added in one of the Maize Plus Brewer's grain buy points, basically. So we're going to use that for the feeding as well. Yeah, every couple of weeks we go buy dog food, and on the way back from there is a farm that has a milk vending machine. So I've been there a couple of times. The milk is so good. So it's unhomogenized, whole fat, real milk from Holsteins. It's so tasty. I buy this time I went, I brought two 1 litre bottles because I just drank one of them as soon as I got home. It was so good. Yeah, so good, and it goes direct to the farmer. And that costs me £1.50 a litre, or I guess 1,500 per 1,000 litres. So obviously better than the supermarket are paying. I'm not sure, that might be reasonably well in line with what I had it set at on the farm dairy, so which was kind of the point of that. So yeah, it's really cool. I really like it. I get to you don't get too far into the farm to get to the milk vending machine, obviously, but you get to see a little bit of farm activity going on and support a local farmer. So all good things. So we've got a trailer full of Brewer's grain. I'm not going to ferment it. We're just going to use it straight as is. Mainly as we only have one bunker. It currently has potatoes in it. And at some point it'll probably have silage in it. So yeah, we're just going to tip it on the ground out here. I'm kind of treating it like Selco that Tom Pemberton uses, and they leave that outside, so I guess we would lose some to it being washed away in the rain, I guess, but you know, it's cool. I was just thinking about remembering on Maypole, obviously at this time of year we would have been doing indirect grazing, but I don't think we have as much grassland this time. We've only got the one grass field and obviously the pasture. So there'll be some grazing that the cows will do when the grass regrows in June, but it's not going to do a huge amount. So I said I want to buy field 8, which is the field next to the farm, and I might split that in two as well. It's a big field, and make half of it pasture, so that we've got some indirect grazing when we buy eventually. I might not pick it up this year, we'll see. It depends how the finances go. I really want to pay the loan off, so we're just going to have a bit of a shuffle of the trailers so I can get to the potatoes. So first TMR mix on here, first TMR mix in a while. So yeah, I'm just kind of foreshadowing how successful I was in getting the mix that I wanted. So that we do get a mix, but it's not the mix that I wanted. So I'm going to keep the AgroStar on the mixer. you might as well make use of some of the older tractors that we've got to do this kind of job. So that should do. Yes, I was just checking the mix, and I was running dairy cattle before as the mix because we were running dairy cow, but this is not the recipe I was using, so I kind of got a bit confused and just went for it. So, and I think before I had smaller hay bales. So one of the things that I say quite a bit with Maize Plus is don't necessarily make the biggest bales you can, because they may not work well with the mix that you're doing. And I think on here, really, I want hay bales that are half this size. So I'm wondering, apart from the faff of handling them, whether I need to get a slightly smaller baler, or use the round baler to get hay bales that are somewhere around that sort of 3,500 to 4,500 litres. The alternative would be to get one of 4D Modding's, the D1000 or the D800 baler that makes the slightly smaller bales that I originally used on Calmsden and didn't like because I got so many bales. Actually, I think on here it might be useful to get smaller hay bales when we do the next hay cut. So we will see. I'm kind of worried about feed, got to admit. So we've cut the grass on here in May. We're going to get the next cut in June, July, August probably, maybe September. We may only get one more cut. Yeah, what I'm hoping is that in June, when the pastures around the map are growing in, we can pick up some silaging contracts or hay contracts and start getting an excess of bales in. That'll really help things out. That will really help out. So we've got 8,000 litres of hay. I've got 10,000 litres of silage on the forks, and the mixer holds 17,000 litres. So can you see where we're going with me worrying about potatoes and brewer's grain? There ain't going to be room. So, yeah. Oh, well, it's a valid mix still because we only needed 25% grass silage and 20% hay. So that's not a problem, but it wasn't the mix that I wanted. I say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members at this point. I've lost my little piece of paper to write it on, so let's grab a virtual post-it note and make a note of that, because otherwise I'll forget when I do the editing in a bit. Some of you, well, at least one of you, mentioned how much you loved my dad jokes. So what I'd want on Facebook this morning, from someone, a friend of mine, who she's always posting really, really, I think funny, some would say not funny jokes. So what's the difference between Iron Man and Aluminium Man? Or Aluminum Man, I guess. Iron Man stops the bad guys. Aluminium Man just foils them. Let's empty the feed mixer, shall we? So, yeah, get the calves fed. Keeping on top of water is the new one as well for me. Obviously, every other game that I've played recently, you can see they're out of water at this point. Every other game that I've played recently, I've had automatic watering, and so keeping on top of that is something that I need to remember. We're going to use the big tanker so that it's a bit quicker and a bit easier. I'm kind of tempted to increase the fill rate from the hose, or get something that can put water out quicker, because it does take quite a while to fill. Now, it's a 28,000 litre tank, and we're filling it from a garden hose. It's not a surprise it takes a long time. In reality, it'd probably take about a week. But, you know, or 24,000 litres. Either way, I think it'd take about a week with my garden hose to fill that thing up. At least a couple of days anyway. But the plus is, it's really cheap. It's like £10 per 1,000 litres or something. Water was costing me so much on Maypole. So I think I just need to keep on top of it and just eat the time that it takes, because it's so much less money. So we were spending, I think, about £8 a month on water on Maypole. So, you know, if we can save that money, obviously really good. We're going to start getting a good income from the milk now. So I guess the question is, do I pay off the mortgage, which we can afford to pay every month, or do I spend the money on land? Thoughts on a postcard. I'm not sure either way. It would be nice to be loan free and then earn the money to buy the field. Kind of feel that that's what I should do, but interested what you guys think. So we're going to use the Merlot this time to do the mix. I've added in the correct version of Animal Food Edition now, and we're going to start with about 10% of the brewer's grain and about 10% potatoes. Putting those in first means that the fact that the hay bales are too big will limit the risk of me getting it too wrong. And this is something that I'd forgotten, that the order I put things in is really important, because otherwise I can't get everything in and things won't work. Now I only have now a minimum of 10% silage and 20% hay, but that's just for ease of mixing, because if you have minimums on those low level ingredients, you have to be very precise. And I think it's better to not have the extra stress of that. We're going to go for about 10% of each of these, but having a bit of leeway makes life easier. So, and yes, I know this is hard mode, so if you don't like it, you can complain in the comment section. That's what it's for. But yeah, it was kind of cool having a mostly day in the yard. We are going to get on to some field work in a bit. Because we do have some fields that need fertilising, and we do have a half decent amount of cash. So saying about paying off the loan, I don't think I actually can at the end of this video, because I spent some of it in a bit. So we've got, yeah, almost 20% of the two kind of non-grass ingredients. We're now going to switch over to the bale fork, and I don't remember which order I did it in, whether I went to silage first or whether I did hay first. The other job we're going to do then is the feed bars seem to have got a little bit out of skew. Now that's mostly, I think, because at the start I put some silage in to get the cows going, so there's more silage than everything else. So once I've done TMR, we're going to put in some loose ingredients to try and balance things up a bit. It's never perfect, but it's nice if it's a little bit closer. That's my view anyway. So 2 bales of silage, so 10,000 litres of silage, and that will leave us about 4,000 litres for hay, so about half a bale of hay. That's the plan. Now what I could have done, because I think there's enough leeway, I could have just dropped the whole bale in, and then the ratio would have changed as we emptied out, but I didn't really want to do that. The other option would have been to put in a full bale of hay and then drop 2 silage bales in and have the same thing happen. So, as the mixer emptied, the silage bales would have gone into the mix, and that would have been okay. I'm trying to think. I think when I did it on Maypole, I'm sure I had a minimum at one point. I don't remember. I just have a feeling that I had minimums on some of the small ingredients, because I remember them going wrong sometimes. Anyway, just going to hold the bale here while the mixer chews away some of it to fill us up. There we go. So 22% hay, so just enough room. So that's where having a 4,000 litre hay bale would be really nice, because that would get us over our 20% every time. 3.5's probably not big enough actually, so we do need 4,500 litres. But that's another full mixer. That's kind of the mix that I want to do. I think that's reasonable. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. We'll get this tipped in and then I'll do some balancing of the feed bars. We've got, so we need to add hay, we need to add potatoes, we've got both of those, and we need to add some power feed or equivalent, so mineral feed or beet pellets. I think are the two options that we've got that we need to add to bring up the power food bar. We could, in the longer term, particularly if we got into growing sugar beets, we could look at the pellet production to make our own sugar beet pellets. Might be something to think about in the long term. We would need more land. I think we're always going to need more land, so you know. And I think I might be wrong, but there seems to be a distinct shortage of flat land on this map. So, you know, that could be an issue. So we're just trying to grab a full bale of hay to put in. I actually thought I put in the part bale, but it was a little while ago. So I think it was actually like Friday last week. So yeah, you can see there, you can see the difference. So we're going to get these balanced up. We are getting a nice flood of, not flood, but a regular flow now of mods, which is kind of cool. I'm guessing that maybe it's that holiday season is over for Giants. You know, they're real people. They have summer holidays like the rest of us. But we seem to be getting almost daily mods now. And there's been some that kind of interest me. And it's just looking at Mod Hub. There's the concrete curb pack. Is that what I think it is? No, it's not. But yeah, there's been some nice mods come through. There's an update to the Puma 175. That's quite tempting. That is quite tempting. I'm curious about the wind turbine. See whether the finances work on that or not. I haven't looked at it. Oh, there's some greenhouses by the law. I wonder which vegetables they produce. Didn't he have the oh no, it's just the same. I'm sure it was his greenhouses I was using on Oakfield Farm to grow onions for my pigs. So yeah, pretty close on hay and moisture food now. So we just need some power food, which we're going to have to buy. We need about 2,000 litres of that to bring that up as well. That'll be close enough for me. I'll be happy at that point. So we'll get that delivered to the farm. And one thing that I'm thinking about getting, and I've been thinking about getting it for a long time in this save, so from way back on Maypole, is a lorry, actually not a kind of a flatbed truck. There's the Iveco truck that's configurable as a grain truck or a bale truck. I've really been thinking about getting that for a long time. And that would mean that we could do some runs to the shop to save some money on delivery. So, you know, might be worth doing at some point. But we're going to get this in the bucket and feed the beet pellets to the cows. And then I think we're going to get on to some spraying. I think there are 2 or 3 fields that need some more fertilizer still. So I don't think there's anything that needs herbicide, but I'm not certain on that. We'll keep an eye on things. We did quite a lot of ploughing, so we'll see. But definitely some fields that need fertilizing. So we've got some rain in the forecast, but we are going to get on with that and see what we can get done before the rain kicks in. So first job is to fit the embarrassing narrow wheels on. Now, this is going to be an interesting one with Terralife, with compaction, because the tram lines that you get from something like Proceed are narrower than normal tires. But if you switch to narrows, you're going to get really high compaction. Now, it probably doesn't matter that you get that in your tram lines because there's no crop. So, yeah, well, yeah, there's no crop, but probably the resolution of the compaction grid will be coarser than the width of a tram line. So going to be a bit of fun there. We, you know, you might end up, it might just be better to run on. So I know this brand is not particularly Scottish, Yagto, but I felt the style fit with the era that we're playing. So 28 grand, 18 meter sprayer, no fancy sea spray or anything like that, but I think it fits. Apart from the brand, I think the style fits with kind of the 90s, so that's why I went for this. Yes, I was being a bit slow and trying to attach to the wrong side. It is what it is. I've gone what I was rambling on about then. Yep, completely gone. Oh well. We do have some fertilizer in the shed, so we'll just grab the pallet forks and grab that out. Compaction, yeah. So it might be better to stay on normals or wides to spray a bit more crop, but get less compaction. I guess we'll have to experiment. So, and actually one thing, there is going to be, with Terralife, I am probably going to do a lot less of the really random videos that I've done in Farm Sim and with Maze Plus. To try and keep things a bit more focused on actual information rather than I've had a random dumb idea, let's go test it. We'll talk about the random ideas, and if we get some indication through play, I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to do specific videos on it this time. I want to try and keep things more valuable in terms of there's going to be so much to cover in Terralife anyway, with how all of the different things work, that I think it's better to focus on that than, you know, real random stuff. So the wheat does need some fur, and I think we might only be a growth state or two away from silaging this. Actually, that's going to help with our feed as well. I'd forgotten about that because we're going to whole crop this. And yeah, we might be, I think we're 2 growth states away from that, so maybe July we'll be whole cropping this, which will be cool. Don't know if it's the whole crop we'll put in the clamp or the maize silage. Yes, we'll just wait and see. I do need to add whole crop silage into the TMR mix because at the moment it's not in there. Probably will be, I'll add it as in the silage section so we can use either whole crop, grass or maize or whatever, rather than having a requirement for each. Maybe not. Maybe we'll add a separate bar for whole crop. My only concern is if we run out. So, you know, not all of the field needs more fert, but some does, so it's worth us getting, you know, taking the bit of time to apply the fert. Doesn't cost much, and we'll get a bit more yield. I think we'll get a decent amount off of here as whole crop. Whole crop does yield really well. We'll mow it, obviously. Maybe not obviously, we'll be mowing it, so we'll get a good yield, I think. I think the corn was okay, because we did, actually I'm looking at that. There may be a section that's not. Sugar beets definitely need spraying. I'm not sure about the corn. We did liquid fert in the seeder on that, because that's where this liquid fert came from. But I can't remember if I turned down the application rate as we went around the field. So we'll have to give that a check once we've done the sugar beets. Potatoes, not sugar beets, potatoes. Because one of you suggested we do potatoes. So I'm hoping we get some beet. I think field 8 that I was talking about, I think that's full of beets. And I'm really hoping that we get a harvesting contract on there, because the excess is going to be brilliant. There's going to be so much. That will be really cool. And it's so close to our farm. So if we can't afford to buy the field before harvest, hopefully we can at least get a harvesting contract. We have the harvester. I need tractors and trailers for carting it to the sell point. I've added in the auto drive guys Auto Drive Network now. That was really helpful for doing the contracts. I was running 2 tractors to do those. Yeah, if one thing we'll say, if you ever download an Auto Drive Guide contract, watch the whole video or a big chunk of the video and subscribe if you aren't. That really helps them out. I remember the last time I chatted to them, they had enough subscribers to monetize, but their watch time was too low because people were just skipping to the end of the video and downloading it. And you know, they put a lot of time into making these courses for us, save people a lot of time and effort. So, you know, while you're installing it into your save, leave their video playing on another screen or whatever, play it on your phone, just help them out. They will appreciate it. You know, it keeps them motivated to do more. And personally, they really help out with a lot of my saves. You know, it's a lot of work to build an Auto Drive network for the whole map. And if, like on here, there's an element of doing a lot of contracts, having a Auto Drive network that will take you to any field really helps out with that. So yeah, definitely help those guys out. Crash count plus something at this point. I don't know how high. But over the weekend, which seems a long time ago now, actually kind of is. No, so the cornfield is okay. The nitrogen's not great, but we're going to kind of leave. Not like the pH is not great. We're going to leave that because it wasn't affecting yield too much. I guess I forgot to line that field. I shared some pictures of the mini side panel I am making, and I'm kind of excited about that. I was up at 3:30 this morning, and at 5 o'clock I was down in the shed measuring up some bits to progress that some more. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite good fun. I'm hoping that I actually make a decent amount of use of it. To be fair, most of it is about the process of building it. I'm really enjoying actually, you know, the design and the thinking and the building. So it's yeah, just a bit I enjoy. I used to when I was a kid. So yeah, pretty much most of my, from being a very young kid all the way through to when I left home, my dad has built boats as a hobby. He hasn't built one now for quite a long time because he's got older, but probably from when I was maybe 3 until my early 20s, he built boats. And so he had a shed full of all the tools you need to build things, and I used to build model boats. So like woodworking and stuff is kind of, I haven't done it in a very long time, but something I used to really enjoy. My dad was an electrical engineer, actual electrical engineer, not electrical technician. And so again, when I was a kid, he taught me about soldering and wiring things up, and you know, we used to make little electrical circuits and stuff. So all that kind of thing for me is fun and kind of reminiscent of my childhood. So yeah, I'm really enjoying messing about with it. Probably going to be a week or so, before, a couple of weeks maybe, before I finish it. It's not massively time consuming. It's having the time to do it. So yeah, looking forward to getting that finished. It's going to be different. So I have tried using a PS4 controller in a similar way, but without rearranging it all, and it was really hard to access all of the buttons and have it held stable, sat on the arm of the chair. But it was quite cool having like the analog sticks for doing front loader work and stuff. And here is the rain, so we are going to fold up and call it a day. We'll finish this off when the rain stops. So thanks for watching, folks. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, click the like button. If you haven't, click the dislike button. I guess any comments, questions or suggestions, stick them below. I'll see you next time.